With all the noise coming out of Buffalo, it makes me think the Arizona Cardinals may have a better chance of landing Sean McDermott than we think. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Clancy here. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast platform. Got a lot to talk about today. Everything's going to be fine, okay? We're in the windy season, if you get my metaphor from last week. There's a lot going on, a lot outside of the Arizona Cardinals' control, mostly not so great, but it's going to be fine. Okay, I'll discuss that in the final segment. Is a young first-time DC the best option for the Arizona Cardinals? There's a lot on their laundry list of 15 candidates that they've requested an interview or interviewed up until this point. And I had this, not epiphany, but, thoughts evolve throughout this process where there's so many moving parts. It's coined as one of the craziest coaching carousel off seasons in history. It's like, this isn't normal. So throughout this process, different thoughts are going to come to light and different things are going to pop in my big dumb head. And I may be convincing myself into something completely different. I'll discuss that in the second segment. First, breathe. The Arizona Cardinals may be the perfect spot for Sean McDermott out of the 6 that are still available. And this isn't clickbait. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't anything other than if Michael Bidwill will pay, which he won't, but if Michael Bidwill will pay, Sean McDermott could be the exactly perfect landing spot for a guy who has been in Buffalo, been in the playoffs a bunch, never won anything, but, they won playoff games and they ran into Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and all that stuff. It makes more sense than it looks like on paper, obviously, if you kind of break things down. So for those that don't know up until this point, over the last couple days after the firing of Sean McDermott, there have been reports out that Sean McDermott and GM of the Bills, Brandon Beane, clashed over a specific pick of Keon Coleman in the draft. Brandon Beane said that Keon Coleman was pushed on him after, for those who don't remember, the Bills traded back with the Chiefs and then traded back again and then drafted Keon Coleman with the last pick of the first round. I believe it was on the back end of the first round or the first pick of the second round, right around there. And then there are words out, and then Sean McDermott said, no, that was, kind of pushed on me. He wanted a defensive guy. And then now there's video that's leaking out of Brandon Beane, talking about Keon Coleman's 40 time around the combine. He's like, great. That's perfect. So you can draft him. I'm paraphrasing. This is what I mean by that. This isn't like, oh, great, a head coach who's clashing with a GM. No. What I'm discussing is a guy who wants more introspection and insight and his voice to be heard with player personnel, something the Arizona Cardinals would welcome. I'm not saying Jonathan Gannon didn't have that. He did. But that's something that if that's the tipping point, sure, dude. Number 3 overall pick. What do you think? Monty Osford. Have you seen the rosters that Brandon Beane's thrown out there for the Bills? James Cook has been great. Okay. They've had some good interior guys on the defensive side of the ball. But by and large, especially on offense, it's been, hey, Josh, go get him, kid. Good luck, buckaroo. Their defense has been good. Okay, they've had some key signings. They had, they had Micah Hyde and oh my God, what is his name? Matt Milano. They have dudes. Okay, but when you look at that clash, that has nothing to do with the Cardinals. It may be just a media thing that's getting blown up. It doesn't seem like it at this point. Kurt Getty came out and was like, the owner of the team was just his siding with Brandon Beane and promoting him was obviously like, you know what? I'm choosing sides, whatever it is. That's only like a tenth of this. You look at the last 6 openings for head coaches now. Now that Miami's got it, now that Miami hired somebody and Tennessee hired somebody, the Bills, Not going back there. Ravens, Raiders, Steelers, Browns, Cardinals. Ravens, Steelers, do you want to bring a guy in who can't win a big game? It's the same thing as having John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. So while conventional wisdom would lend you to think you want the closest thing with the dude with the most experience and the most respect around the league to supplant Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin, I think it's the opposite. They want to see fresh or Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh. They want to see unknown. They want to see track record as coordinator that can translate with a good surrounding staff of coordinators into the next Mike Tomlin, into the next John Harbaugh. Not, they couldn't get it done with Josh Allen. So that's two. The Raiders, more dysfunctional than the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a better roster than the Raiders. I know the Raiders pay people more than Michael Bidwill does with coaches and stuff. Doesn't have a problem firing Pete Carroll 1 year into his deal. They've got the number one overall pick. They've got $100 million. I think they've got a bunch of money to spend. But that roster, after trading Jacoby Myers, you want to buckle up with a rookie quarterback after, having Josh Allen for so long. I know the quarterback situation with the Cardinals isn't great, but the Browns, you'd rather go to Cleveland with that than the Cardinals with that young defensive roster that you could sink your teeth into? I know that this is a different angle because you're kind of just looking at the landscape now as the dominoes fall, as, head coaching positions gets filled. He's not going to be a coordinator. So if he wants to coach this year, an argument could 100% be made that the most perfect fit for what he's looking to achieve, even though I know he was quoted as saying he wants to go to a contender. That's cool. I want $1 billion. He has a better chance of being a coordinator than going to a contender than I do of having $1 billion right now. I'm aware of that. I know that. The point still remains. If I'm Baltimore or you're Pittsburgh, are you bringing Sean McDermott in and seeing that he couldn't get it done with Josh Allen and like, well, this is the guy for us? Rationally speaking, he's the most eligible bachelor during this speed dating round. But I think excitement of the unknown for both of those organizations, of which have like 7 total head coaches in their existence combined, they want to get the guy who can grow and be there long term. Not saying Sean McDermott isn't that guy. But I'm saying the Cardinal situation is peculiar enough to where they've got very good young core talent on defense. He's a defensive guy. You bring in an OC and you're off to the races. While the chance of happening for that is slim, he's got 5 options, 2 of which may not want him to coach that team because of what he's done in the playoffs over the last 6 or 7 years, even though I know it sounds dumb for me to talk about playoffs is a bad thing. I get that. The Browns, the Raiders, it's a lot closer than people think. The Cardinals may be the least desirable on paper, relocation act for a head coaching candidate, especially somebody who's coached in the NFL before as a head coach. If Michael Bidwill pays him, this may be the best option for Sean McDermott to get much more of a say in player personnel and to get to upstart a very young but talented roster in an effort to completely rewrite what everybody expected was going to happen that didn't happen last year. With all that said, would it be more beneficial for the Cardinals just to bring in a young DC who's never coached before and not settle on Vance Joseph or Sean McDermott or somebody like that? I'll discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Ultimate QB Football Legend. The draft pick positions are set. So many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. You ever wish of becoming a pro quarterback? Drafted first overall by the Arizona Cardinals? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. It's a game that lets you step into the cleats of the number one Pick overall, it's a quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the #1 career mode game on mobile app stores. It introduces the most realistic environment with full career mode. You'll deal with all the ups and downs of a QB career. Train and upgrade yourself. Talk to the GM about roster moves, build chemistry, and evolve with your teammates. You can play the game and play the actual games in 2D and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. We got something special for you guys. Use promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store right now to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB football legend. QB1. It's your legacy, man. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor is hard, man. It's like you're finding a diamond in the rough or something like that. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next steps. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality, in-network doctors so you can choose someone who truly connects with you. You can check verified patient reviews. You can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit. The real-time availability means you can book instantly with no phone tag. And one of the biggest issues people face is you can get an appointment between 24 and 72 hours, or sometimes they're even same-day appointments. So I needed to book care fast. This is the first place I'd go. It just makes the process simple. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. All right. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button. You know the drill. I say it every dang time in the second segment. Just do it. Big dumb face. All offseason. It's going to be fun. So Everydayers Club also. Getting people reaching out. How do I join? How do I join? Link is in the description. Super simple. You get ad-free audio shows, which is awesome. And you get the members-only Discord that it's going to blow up this offseason, man. We're going to have so much fun. Once a coach has decided what the coordinators are going to be, free agency draft, it's going to be April before you know it. It's going to be 2 months from now before you know it. Is a young DC the next option? Is it the best option? I've gone through this like evolution of, well, Robert Saleh was the best option. I know he didn't have the greatest experience with the Jets. They had a good defense, Sauce and Quinnen, and, they had guys. And then he elevated the 49ers defense with everybody being injured last year. So he's in Tennessee. Sean McDermott gets fired. And, it's like, well, he's never going to come here, right? Why would he come here? There's so many other great options. There's not. So when you look at the young defensive coordinators that the Cardinals have, interviewed, requested interviews, aside of Vance Joseph, Anthony Weaver, it doesn't look like all the rumblings around it is that Anthony Weaver is well regarded in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Matt Burke, Texans defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, Chris Shula, obviously, he's going to get a lot of looks. The Cardinals are bringing in for a second talk to Anthony Campanile from the Jaguars DC. This is the evolution of this. So, excitement of the unknown is terrifying when this roster is ready to win now. Throwing caution to the wind is fine, except this roster is ready to win now. And roster, when fully healthy, playing Madden on no injury mode, this is a good roster. It's a good roster. It's not an all-world roster. It's a good roster with good young talent in very important positions. It is. I may be too close to it sometimes, but this isn't a roster with more weaknesses than strengths. It's not. So when you look at how defenses are run now, whether you're heavy blitz, whether you're more static, exotic looks, things like that. Is it better to bring in a young guy who's grown up with this version of the NFL? Who's coached in this version of the NFL? And of course, Vance Joseph, Robert Saleh, all these guys, Sean McDermott, all these guys, they've grown with the game also. They've evolved, but it's like ignorance is bliss a lot of times with younger coaches. Like, this is how we're going to do it. Maybe they didn't do it back in the, mid 2000s, in the 2010s, but this is how things are done now, and I'm good at how things are done now. Jacksonville had a pretty good defense last year. Their defensive front was great. Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, they had good corners. The thing that I struggle with is, like, I'm so much more worried about the defense being taken care of than the offense. And I know it's backwards because of what happened with the offense last year. It was bad everywhere. I joke, tongue-in-cheek, that growing up is realizing that a sexy defense is better than a sexy offense. A sexy defense travels. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a snowball. Doesn't matter if it's, perfect weather. A good defense travels. But the counterpoint to that is the best player on the team is Trey McBride, and he's on offense. So why wouldn't you shore up the offensive side of the ball and go about it that way? I will answer that question as I argue with myself, which I tend to do on this lovely show. I don't want a first-time offensive head coach calling the plays also. It's so hard to do. It's so hard to do. I want the offense to be an independent contractor under the umbrella, under the LLC of the Arizona Cardinals. I want it to be devoid of anything else. One coordinator calling the plays, that's it. I don't want any other world. You got to find the right coordinator. You got to coerce somebody to come here with no real plan for quarterback. But I don't want that tied into the head coach. And sure, they're, Shanahan and McVay and, Andy Reid and these guys, we can't compare those guys to whoever the Cardinals are going to hire. So if you're going to pick a first-time guy, I'd much rather it be a defensive guy. And I know it's the opposite of what everybody else is doing. I know. The Cardinals have to do something different because they're not good at what everybody else is doing. So I could get behind. Like, put it this way. There are so many names. Not everybody's going to get a head coaching gig. So if they want a head coaching gig and they want it in this cycle, Cardinals are going to be there, which benefits them. And I know this is so backward. It's like, you're like tricking somebody. You're like I don't know. It's not sinister. I'm not trying to make it sound sinister. It's just like, there's so many names. There's so many names out there. And some young defensive coordinator or, defense coordinator, not first, who hasn't been a head coach yet, is going to look at Walter Nolan and Will Johnson and Josh Sweat and the Bones and be like, oh yeah, I can work with that. It's going to be impossible to sell the division. I know that. Matthew Stafford's only going to be around for another year or two. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? It's going to be tough early, but it's going to be tough with, not having a plan in place at quarterback either. I haven't switched yet. I still think Sean McDermott, and listen, I stand behind what I talked about in the first segment. I stand behind it. This is not far and away the worst option for Sean McDermott, even though he said he wants to be a contender. I don't. That's fine. Obviously, he's going to say that because he's been a contender for the better part of a decade. I just don't think the Ravens and Steelers are going to want him. Which then gives you the Ravens and the Steelers don't want him. Which then gives you the Raiders, the Browns, and the Cardinals. And only one of them is in the NFC. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Listen, I know we've talked a lot about things that aren't so awesome, but listen, it's going to be fine. Oh, little edit. Terry Pagula is the owner of the Bills, not the head coach of Indiana football. I've talked to so many people about Kurt Cignetti, and then Terry Pagula that I talked about in the first segment, not the head coach of Indiana. That'd be difficult, owning an NFL franchise and coaching the national championship game on Monday night. Let's just, I'm a dummy at times. Self-proclaimed. It's going to be fine. I'll discuss why next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, we're down to one game day this weekend. So you better keep your ears perked up for it. FanDuel's giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. So on Saturday or Sunday, you'll see a pack of multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. They're not going to force you to bet in a certain type, whether it's, single game parlay or futures or whatever it may be, just outright winner of the game. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. They let you lean into your game day instincts, make a little extra cheese in the process. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go. Try and get some cheese, man. Try and get some wins. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. YouTube channel, Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. Did the Cardinal Squad Show last night with Jamil and Ben Garcia. That was a fun one. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. We will be doing, Tuesday and Friday, 4 o'clock Arizona time for the foreseeable future. Yeah, man. We're just ramping up. It's going to be fine. Okay? We've talked a lot about negative stuff, and it's not fun. It's necessary, unfortunately, but it's going to be fine. They've got a young, good core. They've got to figure out the quarterback position. I think Jacoby Brissett with a good offensive line and a run game is going to be a lot better than people think. He's won a lot of games in a lot of different places. He's not like a career backup. He's started multiple seasons in this league combined. This isn't like I guess Colt McCoy did too. But it's going to be fine. They're going to get somebody who is going to want to be here. Otherwise, they just go back and be a coordinator where they were, something like that. I still truly believe in Monty Ossenfort. I know people are starting to wane on him a little bit, or a lot of bit, I should say. Of all the people who it directly affects regarding the injuries last year, it's him. I mean, obviously, it directly affected Jonathan Gannon the most because he got fired. But that was also with a couple years before that. To be completely candid with you, I do think, well, am I comparing him to Steve Keim at this point? Because I didn't before. I thought that his first couple drafts, and even this one, were far better than what we saw with Steve Keim. But I'm like, so Steve, they won some games, the BA years and stuff like that. And, Cliff, they even went, 7-0 and all that stuff, which is still a complete mystery to me, how that season didn't end better than it did. I'm confident that this year is going to be a moving year for this team. Not moving like you're going to cry because they went 3-14 again and are picking in the top 5. I think this is the year where we find out, really what the future of this roster is going to be, which is exciting. We're going to find out about Marv this year. This is the year where it's like, okay, let's look to move him, or okay, everything's been stacked against. He's the guy, Michael Wilson. When talking about OCs, you see Trey McBride, you see Marv. You know how many people are like, oh, I could do so much better with Marv? Yeah, let's go coach him. I think that it's going to surprise some people. And I'm not just doing this for positivity's sake. There's no need to. I treat you like adults here. That's the whole point. But it's going to take some time. It's going to be fine, but it's going to be cloudy with a chance of meatballs for the next handful of months. Where we're not really going to know what this is going to formulate into. I think the uncertainty and the angst surrounding that on the heels of one of the more embarrassing seasons in the last 20 years with all of the expectations, still trying to figure out what to do with Kyler Murray if you're going to move him. This is the most anxious the situation will be. Even if it is Vance Joseph. It's like, okay, it's what it's going to be. And then you see how he builds out his coordinator group, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be fine. But right now, I know it's impossible to see it that way. I know it's impossible to see it that way. And it seems super irrational to even broach the topic with a positive spin. I know that. They've got money to spend. They've got the number 3 overall pick. I can't wait to do a segment. I'm not going to do it this week. I don't think we're early. But I think the Cardinals are in a key spot to trade back. And it's not for a pass rush, for somebody to move up for a pass rusher. It's not somebody to move up for anything other than a wide receiver. I think somebody's going to move to number 3 for Jordan Tyson to leapfrog other people and pay for it, which could benefit the Cardinals greatly. We won't talk about that yet. It's going to be fine. Once the head coach is decided upon, there will be a sigh of relief, not necessarily an excited sigh of relief, but a sigh of relief. Okay, step 1's done. You know when you have a list of things that you need to get to, but you've been just procrastinating? That's where we are. We haven't started to check off the list yet with this team. Once that's checked off, it's like, oh, okay. What's next? Okay, free agency. All right, what's next? All right, the draft. What's next? Things will start to calm down. You're going to see a more positive spin, a more positive picture than what's shown right now. And I know it's impossible to see, but we'll get there. And I'll be here with you every damn day until we do. And after. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.